I could upload this lecture on in YouTube, and you can be able to watch it again whenever there are things that seems that there are, I mean, discussions that did not become clear to you while we have our synchronous session. All right, so I am sharing you your course guide, and in your course guide, you will be able to see there the different topics that we will be going to lecture on. And what's important here is that you are aware of our classroom policies, our classroom rules, and our classroom schedule. Now, week one, last weekend, we should have the course orientation, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that because of I'm still organizing the digital technologies that we will be using in the class. But then again, because of the integration days yesterday and last Monday, we were able to do the orientation, particularly on the CSU VMGO, and yung advisory, yung online kamustahan natin kahapon. I think we also talked about how will we go about our lecture in the class. Okay, so this week we will be starting with the introduction to technology for teaching and learning. But if you notice, no, if you notice, ang ating schedule dapat ng synchronous session ay next week. Okay, next week ang ating schedule, but I had it in advance to compensate our missed schedule for this week. Okay? To compensate for our missed schedule for last week, I should say, yung February 1 to 5 natin na synchronous session. All right? So we will have these lecture or these topics in advance so that you could study the module next next week, I should say, next week. All right. So today's discussion will be focused on Module 1, that's Introduction to Technology for Teaching and Learning. And there are many concepts that we need to define here, no? We need to define many concepts in here. Although this is just a review of things that you have discussed already in facilitating learning, like questions like what is teaching, what is learning, and how learning happens. And with today, as of today, dapat alam nyo na yan kung ano nga ba ang learning, paano nagaganap ang learning, how can learning happen. And in other words, what we're trying to do now is that we want to connect education to technology. Okay. And what's the difference between education and learning after all? All right. On the next week 4 natin, after next week, we'll have a special topic. Okay. Our special topic will be on writing a 4A lesson plan. Okay, you should now know how to write a lesson plan that is being used in the Department of Education. And we call that 4As. And there are certain parts in that lesson plan that you need to know so that be able to write a 4A lesson plan, and that will be delivered to you asynchronous. Ibig sabihin, hindi tayo magle-lecture like this, wala tayong synchronous session, but I will be posting a lecture video that will teach you how to make a 4A lesson plan. And in that particular unit, you have to submit an actual 4A lesson plan that you developed yourself in your field of specialization. In weeks 5 to 8, okay, weeks 5 to 8, we'll be discussing four important topics in educational technology. In the first week, we will be focusing our attention to educational technology and learning theories. What are the different learning theories in educational technology, like constructivism, um, progressivism, behaviorism, connectivism, those things we'll be discussing that on week 5. On week 6, we'll have Dale's Con of Experience. On week 7, we'll have instructional design models, and on week 8, we'll have technology integration models. So each week we'll have new lessons, but each of those week also meron tayong quizzes. Okay, meron kayong quizzes on those particular topics. But again, you have to uh, be reminded again of our schedule of synchronous sessions. That's March 8 to 12. Ibig sabihin, yung first and second week natin will be dedicated for first two topics, educational technology and Dale's Con of Experience, but we'll only schedule the synchronous session on the second week of March. And the next topics will be on the last week of March na yung technology integration models and instructional design models. So what I'm trying to point out here is that we have a shared responsibility here. Okay, I will be there to do the synchronous sessions with you, but at the same time, you have to read the module in advance so that you have something to say or to tell whenever we have the sessions ongoing. Okay, and then on week 9, you'll have your midterm exam via dot quiz. I hope that you guys have registered already in our class registration forms, and you remember the passcode that you have put there in the class registration form. By the way, no, meron kayong quiz sa akin this week. Okay, this week yung quiz nyo on CSU VMGO. Okay, it's an all about CSU quiz. It will be administered via Google Form. I will be posting the link on Friday, and you take that quiz. That will be your first quiz in the class. Okay, on week 10 and 11 on the final term, we'll have principles for the selection and utilization of technology for educational use. And then there are things also to be discussed here. And then week 12 to 14, we'll be talking about ICT in various content areas. You'll be knowing what is the importance of 21st century skills, what is ICT literacy, what are the digital learning resources that you can use. And then, ito yung course project nyo, okay? Mahalaga na alam nyo yung course project nyo. Ang course project nyo ay Innovative Instructional Materials Development. Okay? So, dito sa ano na to, sa course project na ito, you should be able to develop individually individually. Or I will be thinking if it's still individual or by a group. But you have to be, you are expected to develop a instructional material. It's an innovative instructional material for your field of specialization, in teaching your field of specialization. For example, it could be a strategic intervention material. It could be a module. It could be a reading material. It could be a contextualized reading material translated to the local language, or maybe a digital material. So it depends on ano ba yung naiisip mo na magagamit ng isang guro that can be considered a new instructional material that could develop the learning of our learners, particularly in your field of specialization. Okay, that's week 15 to 16. So you have 2 weeks to think about your material and to develop your material. And then week 17, you have to present that to the class. So there will be presentation of the course project. And week 18 will be your final exam. Okay, that will be the date of your final exam. By the way, how will I be able to grade you? Andito sa inyong course guide kung paano kayo i-grade, no? Yung online engagement nyo sa klase like this one, and then yung pagpasa nyo ng mga modules nyo, that will be part of the online engagement. Yung module feedbacks nyo, that's 30% of your grade. And then your quizzes and unit exams, that's 30% of your grade. All right? So I repeat, no? Yung mga quizzes nyo na I administer every after a unit or every after certain 2 topics, may bearing yan sa grade nyo. And then your course project, yung inyong innovative instructional material, 20% yan ng inyong grade. At yung inyong major exams, again, that's 20%, a total of 100%. Okay? So that is just a introduction to what we're going to be talking about in our class in technology for teaching and learning. All right. So in the video, okay, in the video that I have previously posted as a briefer of educational technology, I discussed there the definition of educational technology, what are the benefits of education technology, and why is it important that teachers need to understand what educational technology is. Now, may I ask one of you to uh to tell me his or her let's say expectations in the class, kung ano yung impression niya sa subject na technology for teaching and learning. What is your initial impression of our subject in technology for teaching and learning? John, Gerald, Mr. Ugale, can you answer my question?
My expectation about this subject, sir, is I'm expecting that I can learn more of in terms of in technologies, sir. I can, because I'm not that expert in using technologies like this app, sir,
All right.
Zoom,
Mm.
and I'm also expecting, sir, that at the end of this
Subject.
SEM, I am now I've got subjects, sir. I am now technically inclined, sir, about technologies.
All right. Now, John Gerald have mentioned about technologies like Zoom, like Google Meet, like anything in between that we are using right now, no? But I would like to correct your impression about educational technology or technology for teaching and learning. This is technology for teaching and learning one, but you will still have technology for teaching and learning two. Now, at this very moment, I would like to tell you guys that when we talk about technology in learning and teaching, we are not only referring to those that are electronic technologies like computers, like the internet, like this what we are using now. Hindi lang ito yung tumutukoy sa mga pinag-aaralan natin sa technology for teaching and learning. But at the onset, I cannot blame you. I cannot blame you of thinking that ang pag-aaralan namin dito kung paano gumawa ng ganito, paano gumawa ng PowerPoint, paano gumawa o paano gumamit ng Microsoft Word sa paggawa ng reading materials sa mga bata, paano gumawa ng modules and all using the computer. But, you ladies and gentlemen, I would like to tell you guys that whatever is used by the teacher inside the school to help him or to help her with the teaching and learning process is considered as technology in the classroom. For example, gumamit si teacher ng Manila paper sa klase, right? Alam ko marami kayong teachers ang gumagamit ng Manila paper. Maraming gumagamit ng blackboard. Maraming gumagamit ng pictures na pinapakita sa loob ng classroom. Nagpapanood ng videos o kaya naman nagpapa-roleplay, o kaya naman gumagamit ng mga libro o mga modules. Lahat ng mga yon ay maituturing nating parte ng tinatawag nating technology in education. Okay? Technologies in education. Bakit? Kasi ano ba ang definition natin ng technology? Ang teknolohiya nga lang ba ay yung mga naisasaksak, yung mga electronic gadgets natin? Okay, remember, when we discuss technology in science, technology and society in our subject in STS, I clearly stated then that when we talk about technology, hindi lang ito yung mga bagay-bagay na desaksak. Pero ito yung mga bagay na nagpapadali sa buhay ng tao. Okay? Lahat ng nasa paligid natin, yung upuan mo, yung ballpen mo, yung notebook mo, hindi man ito desaksak, technology pa rin ang matatawag natin dyan. Okay? In other words, if we connect now technology and education, technology in education do not only refer to those that are electronically functioning, but also those that are we consider as backyard technologies. Yung chalk ni teacher, kung paano magsulat si teacher sa blackboard, kung paano siya gumawa ng instructional material niya, paano niya sulatan yung Manila paper niya, yan lahat ay sakop ng tinatawag nating educational technology. Okay? So, you expect that in this subject, okay, that in this subject, you will not only be learning about how to use the computer or the internet. In fact, yan ay matututunan nyo pagdating nyo ng technology for teaching and learning too. Not for this course, but when you will begin studying technology for teaching and learning too, all the digital technologies, tools that is used for distance learning are to be taught on that particular subject. But in this case, this is more on a conceptual, theoretical foundation. Okay, I want to build into you the understanding of the theory and the concept of educational technology. Okay? So most of the time, we're going to be discussing theories and concepts, but in the later term of our semester, that is when we will be discussing kung ano nga ba at kung paano gumawa ng mga instructional materials na kailangan sa loob ng classroom. Okay? Thank you, John Gerald, for that answer. So I hope that I was able to clear out these things to you because, if our mindset about this subject is that we're only looking at this instructional technologies, these internet technologies, then we are out of the way. Okay, we are out of the way. When we talk about technologies, it may or may not be those that are electronically functioning. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first topic for this semester in our subject is Introduction to Educational Technology. Okay. The meaning of educational technology. All right. I'll be sending this PowerPoint in our Facebook page, and then the module that you have to read, okay, and answer. Okay, may mga module feedback sa kailangan kayong sagutan doon. So today, we shall be discussing what educational technology is. Okay, how does educational technology differentiate from technology in education? And how do educational technology and instructional technology and technology integration and educational media relate to one another? So there are many terms that we use in the subject, but it is important that you guys should know how to differentiate these terms or these concepts in our as we go along our subject in technology for teaching and learning one. Okay. Now, before that, I would like to ask you because of course, natapos niyo na yung tinatawag nating subject na facilitating learning, right? You're done with the subject facilitating learning. Now, I would like to ask you guys, okay? I would like to ask you guys, um, how does learning happen? How does learning happens? How does learning happens? How can you say that someone has learned or someone has, become successful in learning?
when you apply it.
So Anthony, yeah, you're saying that when you apply what? When you apply the what?
But for me, sir, when you learn something, it starts on your curiosity about a certain topic. You're curious about that one, and you try to find out what is the meaning of that, and that's it. And if you know already the meaning of that, you can apply it to your work or something to do it to you.
Okay, so you're telling us that you should know the meaning of knowing something, becoming curious of something. That's your idea of learning. Tama ba?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You know, learning can be defined in many ways. No, becoming you see, applying something can be categorized as learning. Becoming aware of something can also be categorized as learning. Okay. Um, but as future teachers know, for example, you are MAPE teachers. Okay, you're MAPE teachers. Your definition of learning is or should be guided by what we call a behaviorist approach in learning. Okay, a behaviorist definition of learning or behaviorism. Okay, or behaviorism. Now, what does this mean? Or what does this mean? Now, when we talk about learning, ladies and gentlemen, learning is when there is a change in behavior. Okay, when there is a change in behavior due to an experience. Okay, due to an experience. All right, due to an experience. However, it is not enough that there is an experience. Okay, it's not enough that there's an experience. You must take note that this experience, okay, or this change in behavior should be permanent. Okay, it should be a permanent change in behavior due to an experience. Right? Yun ang pinaniniwalaan ng isang behaviorist. Okay? Nakatulad nyo dapat na MAPE majors kayo eh. Okay? That there must be a change in behavior due to an experience and that change should be permanent. Yun ang definition natin ng learning. Okay? Yun ang definition natin ng learning. Now, for example, Can you consider uh like ikaw ngayon wala kang ka-date sa February 14 kasi wala ka naman jowa. O ang ginawa mo naglasing ka. Ikaw traditionally, I mean you normally hindi ka madaldal, wala kang sinasabi, hindi ka masyadong social sa mga kaibigan mo. Pero nung naglasing ka, okay, nung naglasing ka, dumaldal ka. O, 'di ba? Dumaldal ka. Now, question was there a change in behavior due to the experience in that particular situation?
Yes,
Anyone who
sir.
wants to answer? Princess?
Sir.
Yeah, what's your
Yes, sir.
answer?
Meron po, sir.
Yes, why? Why? Bakit?
Sir, meron pong change, sir, from... Malimutan.
All right. What about Robert? Robert, was there a change in behavior?
As for me, yes, sir. Yes, sir. There is because you told a while ago that that man wala siyang ka-date. Nung wala pa
Mm.
siyang ka-date, sir, parang ano, 'di ba, wala so hindi siya yung talkative na tao, parang hindi siya yung mahilig mag-share ganun. But nung uminom siya at naglasing siya, then ito yung naging dahilan or sanhi para ano, sir, maging open siya sa kanyang mga saloobin, sir.
All
So
right.
parang
That's a
yung
change in behavior.
um yung liquor ngayon yung naging catalyst para magbago siya.
All right. But the question, Robert,
Somehow.
is yeah, that's true.
Yes.
There was a change in behavior. Question, is that learning?
No.
No, sir.
And why not? Okay. Who has the same
Because
answer with Robert? Robert said, no, sir, it's not learning. And I also heard some among you who said,
Yes,
yeah, no, sir. Also, no, that's not learning. Why? Why is it not a learning?
because you were not in your conscious, sir.
Ryan,
You
yeah,
were
what
not
is your,
conscious of what you are doing.
you are not conscious of what you are doing? What else?
sir, because that changes is not permanent to you, sir. Because
Or,
that is
Moral.
because you drink alcohol, yun, sir.
okay, what
Kasi
about,
unintentional naman po yung
yeah,
naging unintentional naman kasi yung process, sir.
all right, okay, good ideas.
Saan?
All right, true, okay. There was a change in behavior. The first question is it a change? Was there a change in behavior? Yeah, that is true. But the question is, was the change in behavior permanent? Right? Kasi pag gising mo ng umaga at nawala na yung
No.
espiritu ng alak sa'yo, wala na, balik ka na naman sa dati. In other words, answering the big question of is the change in behavior due to liquor ingestion an example of learning? The answer there is a big no. Okay? The answer there is a big no. Why? Because the behavior is not permanent. The change in behavior is not permanent. In other words, when we talk about learning, ladies and gentlemen, okay, learning must be permanent. Learning, the change in behavior must be permanent. Okay? Halimbawa, katulad nyo, di ba? Paano kayo natututo ng folk dance? Paano kayo natututo ng music, for example? At first, did you know about do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do? Did you learn about what's the correct tone of do in this first octave, in this second octave, and all? Diba? Hindi nyo naman alam yan eh. Okay? Now, what if I will ask you to sing these solfa syllables and then you are not able to sing it? Okay? Hindi mo na-demonstrate. Na-demonstrate mo lang nung kayo ay nag-practical exam. Pero pagkatapos ng practical exam, wala na. Question, was that learning? The answer is no. Why? Because there was no permanence in that change in behavior. In other words, as teachers, okay, we are there to teach, to facilitate learning, to make a change in behavior become permanent to our learners. Okay? To our learners. That's the first thing that we need to understand. And in aiding, okay, para matulungan tayo sa pagtuturo, okay, para matulungan tayo sa pagtuturo, papasok dyan yung tinatawag nating educational technology. Okay, papasok dyan yung tinatawag nating educational technology. Why? Kasi nga, ang pagtuturo ay hindi madali. Ang pagtuturo ay hindi lang yung nandito ka sa harap ng classroom mo o sa harap ng mga estudyante mo at nakikinig yung mga estudyante mo sa'yo. No, that is not the ultimate description of how teaching should happen. Okay? That's not the ultimate description of how teaching should happen. Look, pag ikaw ay elementary, okay? Pag ikaw ay high school, pag ikaw ay college, magkakaiba yung strategies ng mga teachers nyo. Okay? At magkakaiba yung mga dinadala nila sa loob ng classroom. Okay? Halimbawa, mahahalata mo kung ang isang teacher ay DepEd teacher at yung isa naman ay college teacher. How will you be able to differentiate who is a college teacher and who is a high school or an elementary teacher? Pag napakaraming bit-bit niyan, okay? Pag napakaraming bit-bit niyan at napakaraming materials sa bit-bit, that's a basic education teacher. Siya ay isang basic education teacher. Pero pag yung isa hawak niya laptop lang, iPad niya or tablet niya o chalk lang ang hawak niya, halata mo that's a college teacher. Okay? Why? Why is that so? Because our basic education teachers and your future, that is your future, you want to become basic education teachers in high schools, or maybe you want to go to college, but in technical essence, no, you are trained to become basic education teachers. All right, you have to know the basics of educational technology because that will help you, okay, in facilitating learning of your students. In facilitating learning of your students. Okay? Now, the big question is, what is educational technology? Okay? What is educational technology? All right. Now, the word technology, before we proceed with educational technology, no, the word technology comes from the Greek word techni. At na, pag-usapan na natin yan last time, no? It came from the Greek word techni, which means a craft or art. So based on the etymology of the word technology, the term educational technology therefore refers to the art or craft of responding to our educational needs. Okay, of responding to our educational needs. So in other words, technology is not just machines, as I have mentioned before. Okay, so I have erased our notion that technology only refers to the electronic technologies that we are using right now. But it may also refer to any material that is used by the teacher in facilitating learning. So technology came from the Greek word craft or art. So ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin ng educational technology? So pag ididikit natin ang technology sa education, it means that it is a planned, systematic method of working to achieve planned outcomes. Okay? It is a planned, systematic method of working to achieve planned outcomes. A process, not a product. Okay? And technology is the applied side of scientific development. So I repeat, no, when we talk about educational technology, according to Dale in 1969, okay, it is a planned, a systematic method of working to achieve planned outcomes. Okay? So, halimbawa, pag ikaw ay magtuturo, anong una mong dapat nasa isip Okay? Anong unang nasa isip mo pag ikaw ay nagtuturo? Ha? Are you thought about objectives, classroom objectives or lesson objectives in your subject in facilitating learning? Diba? When you enter a classroom, the lesson objectives must be clear to you. Okay, the lesson objectives must be clear to you. You should know your lesson objectives. Anong gagawin ko ngayon? Okay? Ano ang inaasahan ko na matatapos ng mga estudyante ko? Ano ang inaasahan ko na magagawa o maa-achieve ng mga estudyante ko? Alam nyo, bakit maraming teachers ang hindi marunong magturo? Ay dahil ang nasa isip nila pag sila ay papasok ng classroom ay, ano ang ituturo ko? Okay? Yun ang nasa isip nila eh. What is my subject matter? But then again, you have to make sure that aside from knowing what is your subject matter, you should also know what are the objectives of my learners. Okay? Ano yung inaasahan ko na matatapos at magagawa ng aking mga estudyante pagkatapos ko ng magturo? Yun dapat ang nasa isip natin. Okay? Katulad ngayon, ang nasa isip ko hindi kung ano ang subject natin ngayon, kung ano educational technology, but I am targeting that you guys should be able to differentiate the different terms in educational technology. At maintindihan nyo kung ano nga ba yung essence ng tinatawag nating educational technology. So, tignan nyo ha, balikan nyo yung tanong, yung definition ni Dale ha. It's a planned systematic method of working to achieve planned outcomes. At wala kang nabasa dito na internet, wala kang nabasa na computer, wala kang nabasa na instrument or tool or whatever. Pero ang sinabi ni Dale dito, it's a systematic method. It's a process and not a product. In other words, ang educational technology po ay hindi diretsyong tumutukoy doon sa mga materyales na ginagamit natin. Pero ito lamang ay sangkap at parte ng isang malawak at malaking proseso, okay, ng pag-design ng isang teaching and learning process. Okay? Kaya nga ang sabi niya dito, systematic method. Okay? Ang sabi niya ay systematic, systematic method. Merong method na sinusunod. Okay? Merong method na sinusunod. So, in other words, pag ikaw ay magtuturo na, alam mo na kung ano yung facilitating learning. Alam mo na kung paano matuto ang mga bata. Paano ka na ngayon magtuturo? Okay? Anong plano mo? At sa pagpaplano, kailangan meron ka mga bagay na tinatanong. Diba? Sa pagpaplano, ano nga ba yung mga bagay na kailangan mong i-consider? Okay? So, yung pagpaplano pa lang, kasama na yan sa educational technology. Halimbawa, ano ang gagamitin ko? What should I use? What should I use? Ito ang topic ko. Ang topic ko ay ano ba ang topic niyo sa MAPE? Sa PE, for example, ang topic niyo ay physical fitness. What materials should I use? When should I use them? When should I use them? How should I use them? How should I use them? Where should I use them? Diba? And why should I use them? Right? Anong gagamitin ko? Pagka nagturo ka na, di ba? Isipin mo, tatanungin mo sa sarili mo, ano ang gagamitin ko sa pagtuturo kaya? Kailan ko siya gagamitin? Paano ko siya gagamitin? Saan ko siya gagamitin? Bakit ko siya gagamitin? Di ba? And all these questions, ladies and gentlemen, should always boil down to the achievement of your lesson objectives. Okay? Should always boil down to the achievement of your lesson objectives. So yun yung proseso eh. Yun yung proseso natin. From the planning, selecting, organizing, and utilization of instructional materials, that's part of what we call educational technology. And as I have mentioned, it's more than a product. It is more of a process. Okay, it's more of a process. Now, another definition by the World Book Encyclopedia, sabi niya dito, technology refers to all the ways people use their inventions and discoveries to satisfy their needs and desires. Well, this refers to technology as a term, but not for educational technology. Okay? Now, um, let's now talk about bakit may linya pa? Okay, anyway. All right. So this is a continuation of the meaning of educational technology, no? Now, this is education. Okay, educational technology is a complex, integrated process involving people, procedures, ideas, devices, and organization for analyzing problems and devising, implementing, evaluating, and managing solutions to those problems involved in all aspects of human learning. So this is what I'm telling you guys, okay? Sabi ko nga kanina, in short, educational technology is a process. And this process includes these particular steps right here. Okay? Uh, Organization for analyzing problems, devising, implementing, evaluating, and managing solutions to those problems involved in all aspects of human learning. So basically, it all goes down to having your students learn your subject matter using the instructional materials or learning resources that you designed for them. Okay, so these are other definitions of educational technology. It consists of the designs and environments that engage learners and reliable technique or method for engaging learning, such as cognitive learning strategies and critical thinking skills. Okay, consists of the designs and environments that engage learners and reliable technique or method for engaging learning such as cognitive learning strategies and critical thinking skills. All right? So, anong halimbawa nito, no? Yung pag-design mo ng classroom mo, that is also part of educational technology. Okay? Kung napapansin nyo sa mga elementary schools, sa mga elementary classrooms, marami dyan na nagpapabonggahan ng kanilang mga classroom, 'di ba? May mga bulletin board sila, ang daming design sa loob ng classroom. Yung mga 'yan ay kasama sa pinag-aaralan natin na educational technology. Why? Because educational technology consists the environment for learning. So designing the right environment for learning is part of educational technology. Okay? And not only the environment, no? Yung strategies din. Okay? Yung strategies din, tsaka critical thinking skills na ginagamit natin sa loob ng classroom, parte din yan ng educational technology. So dito natin nakikita na ang educational technology ay isang malawak na disiplina. Okay? Isang malawak na disiplina. Okay? Kaya nga may part 1 tsaka part 2 ito. Okay? Another definition is that educational technology is a theory about how problems in human learning are identified and solved. Okay? How problems in human learning are identified and solved. So we aim here not only to teach but to diagnose problems of our learners. And then we provide solutions to those problems of our learners. Okay? So as a theory, educational technology has an integrated set of principles that explain and predict observed events. Okay, observed events. All right. Now, okay. So ito na yung pinasa ko kanina. Another definition by Lucido and Borabo. Educational technology is a field of study which is concerned with the practice of using educational methods and resources for the ultimate goal of facilitating the learning process. So that's one thing about it. Another definition is educational technology is a profession like teaching. It is made up of organized effort to implement the theory, intellectual technique, and practical application of educational technology. Okay? In other words, people, in other words, this is what we mean by educational technology. Okay? So, educational technology, okay, is aiming in facilitating what? Learning. And to facilitate learning, there are many things that we need to consider. Oh, ano-ano itong mga ito? Halimbawa, yung mga instructional materials. Diba? Yung mga instructional materials natin. Ano pa? Yung mga learning resources natin. Okay? Yung mga learning resources natin. What else? Well, we have classroom activities. Okay? Classroom activities. These things, guys, are corroborative or collected as one to form what we call learning experiences. Okay? Learning experiences. So, in other words, okay, educational technology is designing learning experiences for our learners. Okay? It is designing learning experiences for our learners. Kaya nga, pag magtuturo ka, alam mo yung ituturo mo, pero ang tanong, paano mo siya ituturo? Okay? And this right here play a very crucial role. Okay? Itong materials na gagamitin natin, yung mga learning resources natin, they play a very crucial role in designing the learning experiences of our learners. Okay? That's the basic idea about our subject. So, may pagkakaiba ba ang educational technology sa technology in education? Okay, may pagkakaiba ba yan? Now, let me tell you guys. When we talk about educational technology, it is a process. Okay, it is a process. While technology in education is a product. Okay? Technology in education is a product. Okay? It is a product. Okay? Now, na-discuss ko na kung ano educational technology. But when we talk about technology in education, it's an application of technology to any of those processes involved in operating the institutions which house the educational enterprise. It includes the application of the technology to food, health, finance, scheduling, grade, reporting, and other processes which support education within the institution. Yun ang definition ng technology in education. So yung educational technology, it's more of a process. But when we talk about technology in education, ito yung mga iba't ubang uri ng teknolohiya na ginagamit upang mapagana ang isang educational institution. Halimbawa, yung online enrollment nyo, yung portals nyo, yan ba ay produkto ng teknolohiya? Yeah, okay, basically yes, right? And these online portals are used by you to enroll online, to check your grades, and used by not only by the teacher herself or himself, but also by the registrar and other administrators in the university. So, itong mga ito, okay, ay maituturing nating technology in education. Okay? Technology in education. So, in simplest term, technology in education is more of the product. Kung ano yung mga ginagamit natin sa loob ng classroom at sa pag-manage ng isang institusyon o ng isang eskwelahan. Pero yung educational technology, mas malawak ang sakop nito. In fact, under educational technology ay yung tinatawag nating technology in education. Okay? So pag binaligtad mo yung dalawang yan, magkaiba na ang ibig sabihin yan. Okay? Halimbawa, ano-ano nga ba yung mga application ng technology sa scheduling? O, di ba? Ngayon, madali na lang mag-schedule kasi may system tayong ginagamit sa grading, sa reporting, and other processes in the institution. That is technology in education. Okay? Now, ano naman yung tinatawag nating instructional technology? Now, when we talk about instructional technology, it refers to those aspects of educational technology that are concerned with instruction. Okay? And uh, as contrasted to designs and operations of educational institutions. Okay? So, anong pagkakaiba nito? Ang pagkakaiba ng technology, ito ha, pansinin niyo ang difference ha. Ang technology in education, according to Johansen, is talking about the operation of the institution. Pero if we get that, okay? If we get that and put it in a classroom setting at a micro perspective, yun na yung tinatawag nating instructional technology because it is concerned with instruction, okay? It is concerned with instruction. At ano nga ba yung instruction? Ito yung action ni teacher in facilitating learning. Because from the word instruct, okay? We are only instructing our learners to do something. So whenever you use technology for instruction, ang tawag natin doon ay instructional technology. Okay? Instructional technology. Halimbawa, etong Zoom, is this an instructional technology? Yes or no? Is this an instructional technology? Yeah, this is an instructional technology. Okay, because I'm giving my instructions to you using this technology. Now, what are non later on na lang, no? So, well, that is what we mean by instructional technology as opposed to technology in education. Now, moreover, no, instructional technology is a systematic way of designing, carrying out, and evaluating the total process of learning and teaching in terms of specific objectives. Now, let's define another term, which is technology integration. Okay? So technology integration means using learning technologies to introduce, reinforce, supplement, and extend skills. So like instructional technology, it is part of educational technology. So technology integration is a part and parcel of instructional technology, which in turn is part of educational technology. So take note that under instructional technology is technology integration. So basically, when we define technology integration, it is using learning technologies, okay? Using learning technologies to introduce, reinforce, and supplement and extend skills. Okay? Halimbawa, ang paggamit natin ng PowerPoint is an example of technology integration because you are basically integrating technology for your instruction. Okay? You are using technology for your instruction. So, ano ang ibig sabihin nito halimbawa? 'Di ba? Nung hindi pa uso ang mga PowerPoint, ang ginagamit ng mga teachers natin ay Manila paper. So they present information using the Manila paper. But the moment na marami ng teachers ang may mga laptop at may mga projectors at TVs na sa mga classroom, instead of using Manila paper, they now use these technologies, they now integrate these technologies in delivering information to their learners. So instead of using Manila paper, gumagamit na sila ng PowerPoint. Is that an example of technology integration? Yes, because it is learning technologies to introduce, reinforce, supplement, and extend skills. So whenever the teacher is using technology inside the classroom and changing the traditional technologies to a new one, that is what we mean by technology integration. In other words, technology integration is more focused on advanced technologies. Okay? Or yung electronic technologies na sinasabi natin. Okay? They are more focused on advanced technologies. So, again, technology integration is under instructional technology. But again, instructional technology is under educational technology. Okay. Now, ano naman ang educational media? Okay, what is educational media? So, educational media are channels or avenues or instruments of communication. So, this is just what is the teacher using whenever they deliver information to their learners. So, avenues or channels used by the teacher to deliver information or as a mode of communication. Okay? So, halimbawa niyan, libro, for example, ano ito, um, radio, pwede ring newspaper, pwede ring magazines, pwede ring TV, or pwede rin the internet. Ito yung tinatawag nating educational media. Okay? So what do teachers use in delivering information, in giving information to the learners? So it could be a form of paper technologies. It could also be form of digital technologies like the internet or like the televisions or radio technologies. All right? So any question about this concepts that we have discussed in educational technology, yung mga basic concepts natin dyan. So that's just a definition of educational technology, no? Of educational technology. Now, there are several components. Okay, there are several components of educational technology. Okay, what are the components of educational technology? Now, can you see the whiteboard? Okay.
Yes, sir.
The first component of educational technology are resources. The second one is teaching strategies. The third one is learning styles. And last but definitely not the least are the objectives there of the topic or of the lesson. Okay. Now, you know what objectives are? Okay. Napag-usapan niyo bang objectives sa facilitating learning? Yes or no?
Yes, sir, napag-usapan po.
All right. Like you were taught how to, what's the difference between cognitive objectives, psychomotor objectives, and affective objectives, right? But let's focus on psychomotor and affective object and cognitive objectives. So you know, whenever you go to a class, okay, or when you design a lesson plan, you must be able to define or set your learning objectives for the day, and they must be smart and they must be measurable, okay, and attainable, right? That's first thing to do, no? Objectives. And our objectives becomes the basis of our resources, okay, in teaching. And at the same time, it becomes the basis of our teaching strategies, okay, of our teaching strategies. But again, our resources and teaching strategies depends again to the learning styles, and the resources are also depending on the learning styles of our students. No, sorry, mali yung ano natin. The learning styles okay? In other words, guys, in other words, let's erase that. There are two things among these four components of educational technology. The teacher has to be mindful of the objectives. But at the same time, the teacher must also be mindful of the learning styles of the learners. These two right here are factors affecting our choices of teaching strategies and the selection of learning resources. Okay? Halimbawa, for example, if your topic is on communicable diseases in health, and of course you have set certain objectives for that particular lesson. Now, aside from setting your objectives, you must be able to understand also the learning styles of your learners. Anong klaseng learner ang meron ka? Okay? Anong klaseng learner ang meron ka? So what if your learners are, let's say, kinesthetic learners? According to multiple intelligence theory by Howard Gardner, meron tayong category na kinesthetic learners. Now, if they are kinesthetic learners, what teaching strategies should you use? And what learning resources should you use in order to teach communicable diseases? Okay? So in the next sessions, okay, in our next sessions, you will be able to understand the effect or the variations that learning styles would give or would contribute to the selection of learning resources. Okay? And aside from learning styles, meron tayong mga theoretical perspectives, no, of educational technology. So those are the four components of educational technology. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, now that we know the definition of educational technology, educational technology has in fact four uses. Okay? Has in fact four uses. What are the four uses of educational technology? Number one, tutorial. Number two, exploratory. Number three, application. And number four, communication. Okay. So what is tutorial? What is exploratory? What's application and communication? Now, educational technology is used for tutorial when we do instruction. Okay, when we do instruction. Okay, like this one. Okay, we use books, we use magazines, we use educational televisions to deliver the information to our learners. So ano bang ginagawa ng tutor, right? Ano bang ginagawa ng tutor? The tutor, okay, helps the learner learn that particular subject matter. So whenever we design materials that will help the learner learn the subject matter, we are serving the purpose of educational technology, which is tutorial. Okay? Which is tutorial. Now, what about exploratory? Okay? Educational technology is used also to help our learners explore, okay, their learning. It can be used for discovery learning, or it could be used for metacognition. Okay? Anong ibig sabihin nito? The learner can use educational technology, okay, as an aid for his or her learning. Aside from delivering the information to the learner directly, the learner can also use it to explore additional information. Okay? So it is used by the learner when he asks questions, when he wants to have answers to certain questions. That is what we mean by exploratory. So there are many educational technologies that could serve that purpose, like the internet. Okay? Application is for productivity. Okay? The learner uses educational technologies to make something. Okay? What are these things? Like you use MS Word to do an essay. You use Excel to do mathematical equations. You use PowerPoint presentation or PPT for PowerPoint presentations. What else? You use Adobe Photoshop to edit pictures. You use video editing softwares to edit videos. So those educational technologies is part of application. And the last one is educational technology is for communication. So what are educational technologies that are used for these? Well, we have email, we have messenger, we have texting technologies. So those things are part of communication. So basically, educational technology is used for tutorial purposes, for exploratory purposes, for application purposes, and for communication purposes. All right. So as a summary, okay, as a summary, now that we know what educational technology is, okay, and the different components of it, we have to understand that because we have educational technology, there is now a change or a paradigm shift from traditional learning to modern or student-centered learning. In other words, the bridge that has enabled us from shifting from teacher and subject-centered education or learning to student-centered learning, okay, the bridge that enabled us there is educational technology. Okay? Is educational technology. So yung classroom learning natin na construct lang sa learning, confined lang sa classroom, it is now transformed to anytime or anywhere. Ngayon, pwede ka na mag-aral kahit saan at kahit kailan. Okay? Yung faculty-centered, okay, faculty-centered learning na ang kumikilos lang sa loob ng classroom, ngayon ay naging facilitated learning. Dahil meron ng mga technologies na available, pwede nang gamitin ni learner yun. Okay? And then, yung meron tayong routinary activities or cycle time, ngayon ay nagawa na nating real time. So all of these things are made possible because of educational technology. Okay? So as a summary, ladies and gentlemen, educational technology is a process of, beginning with the selection, organization, designing and implementation and evaluation of instructional materials or learning resources. But under educational technology are concepts like technology in education and instructional technology. Technology in education and instructional technology are more of the product rather than the process, and they are smaller in scope than educational technology. Technology in education is more of the things that are used to manage an institution or an educational enterprise. But instructional technology is a micro perspective of technology in education. You bring these technologies inside the classroom, the teacher uses it for instruction, that's instructional technology. But instructional technology may refer also to backyard technologies or the non-electronic and the advanced technologies are the electronic ones. The use of electronic ones to substitute, okay, the traditional technologies that are used inside the classroom is what we call technology integration. Okay, so it's focused more on these advanced technologies. Okay, and knowing these things, educational technology has four components. Therefore, we have the objectives, we have the learning styles, we have the teaching strategies, and we have these resources. And all these components have certain relationships to each other. Okay? And in summary, educational technology has four uses. It's tutorial use, exploratory use, productivity or application use, and of course, communication use. All right. So that is introduction to educational technology. Okay. I will be sending the PowerPoint to you and also the module that you may use in reference to our particular topic today. All right. So next meeting, modular learning kayo, and then you expect for a quiz that will be uploaded next week. And then today, on Friday, meron kayong quiz sa VMGO. So all about CSU lang as a as the quiz. Okay? Pero yung meeting nyo dito, I mean, yung lesson natin ngayon, next week yung quiz nyo na yan. Hanggang sa matapos nyo yung inyong module. Okay? So, are there questions? So, before we go, please leave your chat. Okay? Please leave your insight, your reflection about our lesson for today. This will serve as your engagement to our class, okay, to our subject, okay? So when you're done leaving your reflections, it could be one or two sentences, okay? Then you can leave the meeting. So pag natapos na lahat, nag-leave na nung meeting lahat, pwede ko nang i-off yung ating Zoom session. Okay? Thank you for your participation, and I hope to see you once again in the next sessions that I will be scheduling for our subject. All right?
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
So not yet a goodbye. You have to leave your reflections, guys. Okay?
Sige po, sir.
Before you leave with your reflections. So when you're done writing your reflections today and insights, you can now leave Zoom, our session. Miss Michelle Mamawag and Angelica, please send your reflections now. Miss Graham,
Sir, meron na po.
oh, you can now leave. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.